Hi, second grade. This is your read aloud for Monday and Tuesday of this week. This is our book. It is called Suki's Kimono. And this is a made up story. So this is fiction, but it could happen in real life. So that is called realistic fiction. And we're going to talk about how our character shows courage when she is facing some challenges. So, how might Suki show courage? How will she respond to the challenge that she faces in the story? Oba-chan is her auntie. So, just like how we have an aunt or a tia, it is Oba-chan in Japanese. And Suki is going to wear on her first day back to school, no matter what anyone else says. So, let's find out why her kimono is so special and what happens to her when she wears it to school. On the first day of school, Suki wanted to wear her kimono. Her sisters did not approve. "You can't wear that," said Mari. "People will think you're weird." "You can't wear that," said Yumi. "Everyone will laugh and no one will play with you. You need something new, Suki. You need something cool." So we already get our characters on our very first page. We have Suki, which is our main character, and then we have Mari and Yumi. But Suki shook her head. She didn't care for new. She didn't care for cool. She wanted to wear her favorite thing, and her favorite thing was her blue kimono. Suki's Oba-kan had given her the kimono. The first time Suki wore it, her Oba-kan took her to a street festival where they slurped down bowls of slippery, cold somen noodles and shared a cone of crunchy, shaved ice topped with sweet red bean sauce. So we can already tell what culture this is, and this is a Japanese culture. Under strings of paper lanterns, Suki joined her Oba-kan in a circle dance. She followed her and copied her movements, trying to be as light and as graceful. She watched the other women and children who danced, especially those who were dressed in cotton kimonos just like her. Later, Suki sat so close to the stage that when the taiko drummers performed bum 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 bum, she felt like she'd swallow a ball of thunder and her whole insides quaked and quivered. Before they left the festival, Suki and her Oba-kan stopped at a souvenir stand. There were many things to choose from, but her Oba-kan found the prettiest thing of all, a handkerchief of pale pink linen decorated with tiny maple leaves and cherry blossoms. When she gave it to Suki, she said, "This will help you remember our day." So there's the little handkerchief, and I'm sure that means a lot to Suki. Now it was time for school. Mother checked Suki's obi one last time and took a picture of Mari, Yumi, and Suki together by the front steps. Then, as she watched, the three sisters made their way down to the block to their school. Mari and Yumi stayed several paces ahead of Suki and pretended they didn't know her. But Suki didn't mind. She turned and waved to her mother before she clip-clocked along in her shiny red geta, feeling very pleased in her fan-patterned blue kimono. Once in a while, Suki would lift her arms and let the butterfly sleeves flutter in the breeze. It made her feel like she'd grown her own set of wings. And let's look at our pictures here. We have Suki right here, and she loves that kimono. But look at these guys. They seem to be doing what? They seem to be laughing at her. When they reached the school, Mari and Yumi hurried across the yard to a group of their friends. Suki stopped and looked around. Some of the children turned and stared at her, and others giggled and pointed at her kimono. But Suki ignored them. She took a seat on a swing to wait for the bell. A girl dressed in overalls just like a pair as Suki had at home sat on the swing beside her. "Hi, Suki," said the girl. "Hi, Penny," said Suki. "How come you're dressed so funny?" Penny asked. Where'd you get those shoes? Suki lifted her feet off the sand and wiggled her toes. I'm not dressed funny, she said. My grandma gave me these shoes. Suki started pumping her legs. After a moment, Penny did the same, and soon they were both swinging as fast and as high as they could. When the bell rang, Suki and Penny jumped off their swings and ran to the gym for their first day assembly. Once they had finally taken to their new classroom, Suki chose a desk near the window. Penny chose a desk next to Suki. As they waited for everyone to find a seat, two boys in front of Suki turned and snickered behind their hands. One of the boys reached over and snatched at Suki's sleeve. Look at this, she said. She's a bat. So he's not being very kind either about her kimono. Suki felt her cheeks burn, but she did not respond. Instead, she concentrated on sitting up straight and tall, the way her obakan always did. It was easy to do with an obi wrapped snug around her middle. Her obi was golden yellow, and in its folds Suki had tucked away her pale pink handkerchief. Welcome to the first grade, said the teacher. My name is Mrs. Paggio. She smiled. Let's introduce ourselves and tell everyone what we did this summer. So you think her obi is her little tie that ties at her waist, and I think her pink pale handkerchief that she got at the festival is tucked in there. When it was her turn to speak, Suki stood up and told her teacher her name. Hello, Suki, said Mrs. Paggio. What did you do this summer? My grandma visited us, she said, straightening her sleeves. She bought me my kimono and my geta. Suki raised her foot to show the teacher her wooden clog. Look at those. I like her kimono. Somewhere in the classroom, someone laughed, but Suki took a deep breath and continued. The best thing was that she took me to a festival and there was dancing. And girls dressed like me, and they all danced like this. She took a few steps and swayed her arms sideways. Looking now, she's dancing, someone said. But Suki didn't hear. She hummed the music she remembered hearing at a festival. She remembered how it felt to dance barefoot in the open air on fresh-cut grass that tickled her nose. She tried to picture the other dancers, how they moved forward in the circle with the rhythm of the music, how they stamped their feet first right, then left, swung their arms first up, then down, how they stepped back and back and back, then clapped. When Suki couldn't remember the next step, she made it up just to keep dancing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, stop. When she finished, the room seemed very quiet. Everyone was watching her. Suki sat down, wondering if she was in trouble. Do you think she'd be in trouble? But Mrs. Paggio said, That was wonderful, Suki, and she started to clap. Then, so did Penny. And after a moment, so did the entire class. After school, as the three sisters walked home together, Mari and Yumi grumbled about their first day. No one even noticed my new sweater, said Mari. No one even noticed my cool shoes, said Yumi. But Suki just smiled. As she clipped-clopped along behind them, Suki pulled out the pale pink handkerchief from her obi and held it up over her head to catch the wind. And in her blue cotton kimono and in her shiny red geta, Suki danced all the way home. All right, this is your assignment for Tuesday, and today we're going to find the character's response to the challenge. And we are going to be using our read aloud from Monday and Tuesday. And Suki's Kimono is our book name, and we did the recounting yesterday, and today we're going to respond to the challenge. So your activity looks like this. And it's going to say, what was the challenge and problem? Use the text to write your answer. And then it's going to have our character, You're going to write the character. And then how did the character respond? So the character can respond in different ways. The action that Suki had, what did she do? What words did she say? How did she respond? And what did she say to the challenge? Her feelings, what did she feel? And her thoughts, what did she think? So I'm going to do this a couple for you. And let's go to our challenge. What was the challenge and problem in our story? So Miss Spalding's going to help you with how did she respond to the challenge. So here is part of the challenge that Suki had, and here is one of her responses, one of the many responses in the book. And it says, we're going back to the text, her group of friends were giggling at her and staring and pointing at her kimono, but Suki ignored them, right? And then she just kept waiting on the swing and she started swinging. So we could say, let's look over here where Suki and the boy, he said, look, she's a bat. How do you think she responded to that? Let's look right here. Suki felt her cheeks burn, but she did not respond. So we could say right here, what did she say after her challenge, after they were making fun of her? She did not respond. Or she ignored them. Isn't that hard to do? She didn't respond. She just ignored them. Let's go to what did she think? So I have here what did they think, but really it's what did Suki think? Suki loved her kimono and her getup because it was very special to her because it made her think of her family, right? And the special memories that they had. So I'm going to write, what did she think? She thought her outfit was special, right? Because it had great memories. And what did she feel? We know when we went back to our text, she felt her cheeks burn, but she still didn't respond. She concentrated on sitting up straight and tall the way her obakan did. She kept thinking about her outfit, right? So she felt embarrassed at first, but she was very proud of it. And then what did she do? Well, we know from day one, she wore her kimono and her geta to school because she wanted to, right? She had a great time at the festival with her family, and she still, even though people made fun of her, she responded with courage. Or by showing courage. And we go back to the story when she showed courage and she told her whole class about her dancing and the festival and what she did in the summer and the different culture with her dancing. When she told her class, she thought people would make fun of her. But then everyone started to clap and the whole class thought that was so cool. And she was very proud of her blue cotton kimono and her shiny red geta. So our character showed courage even though people were making fun of her. So that's something also our central message could be, that she showed courage, and you can show courage too. Go ahead and start your activity. You have your character's response, so what we just did is the central message. So what was the central message of the story, and how do you know?